In the shadowed depths of a medieval torture chamber, firelight dances across cold iron surfaces. The air hangs thick with dread as a prisoner is led toward a chair that appears ordinary at first glance. But as torchlight reveals its true nature, hundreds of sharp metal points emerge from the darkness, covering every surface where human flesh might touch. This was the iron chair, known throughout medieval Europe as one of the most psychologically devastating instruments ever conceived. Its power lay not in swift execution, but in the unbearable promise of prolonged misery. While the condemned faced many terrors in the Middle Ages, few devices inspired such absolute horror as this throne of suffering that transformed confession into an act of desperate self-preservation. The design of the iron chair, spikes, restraints, and fire. The iron chair existed in numerous variations across medieval Europe, but all shared a common architecture of torment. Between 500 and 1,500 metal points protruded from the back, seat armrests, leg rests, and foot rests. Each point was positioned to create intense discomfort without immediately endangering vital organs. This calculated design served a grim purpose. The pressure of the points limited rapid physical decline, preventing the mercy of a quick death. Restraints varied by region and purpose. In some designs, the victim's wrists were tied directly to the chair. In others, iron bars would push the arms against the point-covered armrests, increasing the pressure with each breath. Weights might be placed on the thighs or feet, adding force that pushed the body further onto the points. Some chairs featured additional points on the headrest, and executioners would force the victim's head backward against them. The most diabolical element waited beneath the seat. A hollow space allowed torturers to place asterisk burning coals beneath the seat, or an open flame directly under the victim. As heat rose through the chair, it would create extreme discomfort in the lower body, while the victim remained conscious, unable to move without increasing the pressure of the points. The combination of fire and iron created what witnesses described as a furnace of human suffering The Spanish Inquisition favored particularly elaborate versions. A chair from Cuenca featured an iron bridle attached to a vertical bar, equipped with devices for applying pressure to the ears, restricting the tongue and compressing areas of the face. These additions transformed the chair from a single instrument into an entire torture chamber condensed into one terrible seat. Every element worked in concert to break not just the body, but the will itself. Death would eventually come, but only after hours or days of intense and unrelenting discomfort. When finally removed from the chair, victims often succumbed quickly due to severe weakness after the release of pressure from the numerous contact points. Or they would die later from health complications that inevitably followed. Confessions extracted through unbearable pain. Medieval European courts operated under a principle that modern minds find incomprehensible. Confession was considered the ultimate proof of guilt. Without a confession, even substantial evidence might not suffice for conviction. This belief transformed torture from a punishment into an investigative tool, and the iron chair became one of the most effective instruments in the torturer's arsenal. The device's true power emerged from psychological torment rather than physical pain alone. Before a victim ever touched the chair, they would be forced to watch another prisoner endure it. Witnesses recorded how condemned souls would cry out and eventually fall into overwhelmed silence after mere hours in the chair, their voices fading as suffering surpassed their capacity to express it. Those watching understood with terrible clarity what awaited them, and many confessed immediately, willing to admit to any crime rather than face that fate. Torturers understood the rhythm of confession. They knew that most victims would hold out initially, clinging to innocence or pride. But as the first hour passed and the strain accumulated, resistance would crumble. Some lasted 3 hours. Some made it through a day. The historical record tells of sessions extending across multiple days, with victims removed briefly to prevent death, then returned to the chair when they failed to confess completely. The process continued until interrogators obtained the confession they sought, regardless of its truth. many innocent souls admitted to crimes they never committed, fabricated accomplices, and invented elaborate conspiracies, saying whatever words might end their suffering. This corruption of justice revealed a fundamental flaw in the medieval system. Torture produced confessions, but rarely truth. Under sufficient pressure, human beings will say anything. The iron chair extracted words, not honesty. Yet medieval courts accepted these forced admissions as legitimate proof of guilt. Famous trials where the iron chair was used. Among the most documented cases involving torture devices of this era stands the trial of Jean Calas in Toulouse, France, in 1762. Calas, a Protestant merchant, was accused of murdering his son to prevent his conversion to Catholicism. Though he maintained his innocence, the court ordered him tortured to extract a confession. Historical accounts from multiple sources confirm he faced the iron chair along with other brutal methods. His arms and legs were stretched to extreme limits. Water was poured down his throat in quantities that would overwhelm most men. Yet, even under such torment, Calas continued to proclaim his innocence. The Parliament of Toulouse sentenced him to be broken on the wheel. But before that execution, he endured interrogation under torture. Contemporary records describe how he was subjected to the ordinary and extraordinary question, euphemisms for graduated levels of torture. Despite everything the executioners inflicted upon him, Calas never confessed. On March 10, 1762, he was executed while still declaring his innocence. Years later, the philosopher Voltaire took up his cause, and in 1765, Calas was posthumously exonerated. The case became a rallying cry for the abolition of judicial torture in France. The Spanish Inquisition employed the iron chair extensively throughout its 3.5-century existence. In cities like Cuenca and Toledo, where Inquisition tribunals maintained permanent torture chambers, the chair held a place of prominence among the instruments of interrogation. Those accused of heresy, blasphemy, or practicing forbidden faiths would face it as part of the questioning process. The Inquisition's records, though incomplete, reference countless individuals subjected to these devices during interrogations that could last weeks or months. Throughout medieval Europe, the chair appeared in royal dungeons, ecclesiastical courts, and municipal torture chambers. Each region developed its own variations, but the fundamental purpose remained constant: to extract confessions through unbearable suffering. The practice continued well into the 18th century in some areas, only ending as Enlightenment philosophers like Voltaire, Cesare Beccaria, and others championed the cause of legal reform. France abolished preparatory torture in 1780 and preliminary torture in 1788, under King Louis XVI, the same monarch who would later face execution during the Revolution. The iron chair stands now in museums, a relic from humanity's darkest chapters. Its spikes no longer press against human skin, and its fires no longer burn. Yet it remains a testament to the depths of cruelty that systems of power can reach when unchecked by mercy or reason. Medieval authorities believed they served justice through these devices. That truth could be extracted through pain, and that confessions obtained under torture held validity. History has proven them catastrophically wrong on all counts. The chair extracted nothing but suffering and false admissions, corrupting justice while destroying countless innocent lives. What began as a tool of investigation became an instrument of oppression, and its legacy serves as a warning about the corruption that occurs when those in power believe pain serves truth. In the cold iron of that terrible chair, we glimpse not just medieval brutality, but the eternal human capacity for both cruelty and, eventually, the wisdom to reject it.